Good evening, you guys. I hope you had a good day. I'm actually about to take it down, but this is something I wanted to share with you a couple of days ago. So I'm pretty much going to go through this as quickly as possible. It's, I'm going to try to just break it down for you. It's kind of all over the place right now, but it'll all come to a conclusion. So please just bear with me. These two people right here, Alihio Bishop and Sierra Taylor, they have so much in common, aka Nature Boy, Three God, and Queen Opp. They have so much in common. It's just insane. And forgive me for bringing you into this nonsense. This will be the first and last time I speak publicly about these two people. So let's start. Alihio Bishop was a boy interrupted. His parents died when he was very young. He stayed in foster care. He felt his foster mother was only in it for the money. He said he was scared of her. She called him ugly and dark and a demon. She was a black woman. Maybe it's because she was ugly and dark and a demon to say that to a child. His upbringing with his foster parents would shape more of his life than he would probably like to admit. He ran away. He openly talks about being molested, forced to have sex acts with another boy while a grown man watched. He didn't understand why at a young age he was so hypersexual and promiscuous. An older bishop would become a gigolo, a stripper, a model, and he even did adult porn. He was the owner of a barbershop that he would later eventually sell. He was charismatic, charming, and conniving. He built an online following where he wanted to live in nature. Hint, he became Nature Boy. People watched and followed his journey for years, donating to the movement. Some joined the movement. People would say that they were drawn to him, and it was their calling. The naked man running through the jungle eating fruit, that's where they wanted to be. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Don't call me Nature Boy. I am God, Three God. That's what he said. Years later, he had recruited many people, mainly young people, a lot more younger than himself. At the present moment, Bishop is 40 years old, and his cult members are at least 10 to 15 years his senior, with the exception of one older woman called Mama Dia, who became a cult member. I believe she's either 60 years, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger. I'm not quite sure. When she passed while under the care and the acknowledgement of Bishop, some viewers say that it was murder. Allegedly, she was told not to take her medicine. Bishop didn't believe in medicine unless he was the one who needed it. There are videos of Mama Dia living her best life, says the cult. Some say Bishop and his members know exactly what happened to Mama Dia. I always wondered what made Mama Dia want to enter in carbonation. How did she get wrapped up in such foolishness is beyond me. A younger woman would leave the cult. Government name Mariah Lynn Kelly, 21 years old. She said the cult was a little too extreme for her 2 weeks after leaving that cult. But she would return home and did something completely extreme. She would stab her mother to death while washing dishes after they had an argument. She currently sits in jail charged with first-degree murder. A young man who was called Loyal was in the cult. He died under mysterious circumstances. He, again, was found dead in a home that was intentionally set on fire. Investigators are calling it homicide. There is a video of Loyal being slapped by Bishop for feeding him the wrong piece of fruit off of a plate. Rumor has it that this was some sort of hit by Bishop while he was incarcerated at the time. Loyal fled with cell phones, money, and memory cards filled with footage of carbonation. He was God, and all 20 plus members referred to him as God. Any legal marriages that happened during the beginning of carbonation didn't have anything to do with Bishop now. It didn't mean anything to him. Any courtships between men and women didn't mean anything to him. If he felt like he wanted a woman there, he was going to have the woman there. Who wouldn't want to be with God sexually? Bishop, who was legally married to a cult member, would impregnate women. Some were able to keep his children, others didn't. They were made to abort right there on spot. By any means necessary, graphic ways. They hinted, they discussed it on these videos, they laughed about it, they were proud of it. If any female cult member was to have gotten pregnant by anyone other than Bishop, those children were considered beneath him. Those children would grow up and be servants to his children. That's what he said. His children were going to be kings and queens again. The others would be the servants of his children. A woman carrying a baby that wasn't Bishop's was called a demon. And there was a woman carrying a baby by another man that wasn't Bishop. That child was outright called a demon while it was in the womb. The child was stillborn, and there were rumors that the baby was murdered by the cult. The mother admitted that because the child was not born by Bishop, that it was a demon. She would later become one of Bishop's cult wives. He promoted sex with anything from women to men and was heading in a direction of children, some would say. With a video of him letting a child play with his penis, I honestly forgot if it was a child of his or a cult member's child, but he said it was natural, that the child was exploring. The viewers felt that something wasn't right. I recall a video where a female cult member was holding Bishop's daughter while he was having sex with another female cult member. This was very odd. And how they carried on about it openly on the video just made you think, what is really going on with these people? How far are these people truly going to go? He also said as soon as a female started to menstruate, she's old enough to have sex. Girls start menstruating between 8 and 12 years old. So if she's 8 years old, it's okay for her to have sex with a full-grown man. More reasons viewers' eyebrow were raised. He even said women should have sex anally. The vagina was only for conception and birthing. It left viewers again with their eyebrow raised. He only wanted anal sex with his female cult wives. There is even a video of him and the male cult members having an orgy with a transgendered male right there on a popular porn site. A lot of carbonation sex videos are on that porn site. But I have to say, some talent was definitely in carbonation. There were young guys, the male cult members, some of them were really good rappers, and the female cult members, really good singers. It's like maybe they could have went a different way with carbonation. But again, hell is paved with good intentions. The carbonation cult leader spoke about how there was no such thing as STDs because I'm sure there weren't any prophylactics being used in the cult. He taught if you abstained from sex for a few weeks, the STD would just pass through your body. Hint, rumors of AIDS were circulating from viewers. This thinking was asinine, and they were promoting this as logic. He openly discussed his STDs. He said he had every STD known to man, and he laughed about it. They were later dubbed a sex cult. Bishop would speak candidly about his large sex organ, and you can see it on those popular porn sites to judge for yourself. You can also see an older white man judging for himself too in a soft gay porn that Bishop stars in. Bathing wasn't allowed at the time in the cult. The members probably smell like a zoo, but that's what the cult leader wanted, and again, he got what he wanted. They also promoted nudity. It's like whatever they thought or Googled, that's what it was going to be. He didn't want his cult members in communication with their families because, of course, families would intervene and it would be hard for him. The only say-so he wanted them to have was his. His cult members protested that they would die for him, do anything to protect him. In his earlier years of the cult, if I remember correctly, there was a Caucasian woman in the cult by the name of Kayla Reed. She said she felt she belonged there. This was her calling, whose family immediately, after time, got her out of there. Bishop always said that she could leave. Bishop always said that anyone could leave at any time, that no one was being held against their will. However, the males would say that it would be hour-long meetings of why they wanted to leave, and also saying what would happen if they did leave. Remember, he's God. So their life was pretty much going to crumble once they left Carbonation. The females, they would be beaten by Bishop and other female cult members if they tried to leave or thought about leaving. Several of them would return back for reasons unknown. He beat the women and he pimp-smacked the weaker men. The key was to always be on Bishop's good side. Anything would trigger him. You had to try to stay on his good side, because if you were on his bad side, you were a target for abuse. Whoever was feeling his wrath and his vengeance all through the day, and a long vengeance, it would be hours of accusations, lack of food, locked in the closet, humiliation. He believed in humiliation. A female cult member was made to give him oral sex during alive in front of the other cult members, but yet they still stayed. He was pushing the envelope over and over again. He was God. No one can fuck with him, not even the police. He had the female cult women fight others just for entertainment purposes. He promoted a vegan lifestyle, but yet when he was hungry and high, he went through the Wendy's drive-thru and got himself a spicy chicken sandwich. And he actually said that out of his own word. Meanwhile, the cult members would starve from lack of food, and you could watch in the videos as they were just withering away. And this was going on for years while he was head of this cult. He would receive tens of thousands of dollars. I wouldn't be surprised if Bishop was a millionaire several times over. With his cult members taking out PPP loans, giving up their food stamp benefits, government benefits, income taxes, everything went to Bishop. The members swearing that they would never leave and abandon him, kissing his feet. Yes, the males were kissing his feet on live to prove this point. They even recruited others that had to bring in food, clothing, money, whatever. If a woman had children, she was advised to leave them with friends and other family members, or even put them in foster care. And they did. You are my God. You are my God. That's all they said throughout the cult. God moved them from tents to motels to Airbnbs to houses. He moved them from state to state, country to country, where he would end up being arrested after an alleged rape on a returning female cult member who was only there to see a male cult member that she liked. In Fulton County Jail in Georgia is where he sits today, awaiting a trial with the GoFundMe totaling over $90, a far cry from people who would cash app him this daily, every 5 minutes, even after he told them that they were stupid to work for their Babylon money, but they were cash apping it to him. And his cult followers, they echoed his sentiments that they were stupid. But his followers were loyal. They sent the money in. He left behind his followers and his 4 self-proclaimed wives who still teach his rhetoric, whatever it is. Something about doing the work, but whatever the work is, they never explain it. With his name still tatted on their skin, they wait for him in people's homes, shelters, wherever they can. Taking his jailhouse phone calls, he still commands orders, and they follow. still listening to his every word. I mean, at this point, they're just four women waiting there for their neh. That's about it. I even watched the ex-Carbonation members who still live their lives, still televised. I call it spin-off shows. I'm sorry, but I do. But this is what they want. This is what they've learned. The only thing that they've learned is how to televise your life. And some, unfortunately, haven't bounced back from this. Well, not at least mentally. But I will say a few are trying to turn their lives around slowly but surely. And I wish all of them the best. I do. They got caught up in something that was way bigger than them. What kept me so intrigued with this cult was because they were young and they were beautiful and they were all talented in all forms. And of course, very easy to manipulate. Bishop himself, handsome, downright cocky, a narcissist with very bad intentions. Viewers would call the police all the time. But finally, after years, the door would be kicked in and they arrested Nature Boy, Three God, Eligio Bishop. And he has been in jail ever since, with thousands of videos left behind. The story built itself. And I had to go to Texas to get to Atlanta. Someone described Queen Opp as the female Nature Boy. I had no idea who Queen Opp was. I said, no, this can't be true. Say it ain't so. Nobody can be that crazy. Was I wrong? I looked up Queen Opp, born Ciara Michelle Taylor, aka Queen Opp. She's in her 30s, though she hasn't said it publicly yet. She easily acts like an uneducated 16-year-old with limited vocabulary at a lot of times. Yet she puts down Shell, calling her 35-year-olds and stupid and retarded. Shell is her sidekick, and the videos are called Queen Opp and Shell. They are, or they were, a duo. They have been friends for at least 13 years. Opp has 3 boys who she doesn't have custody of and currently was pregnant with her first daughter and very excited about it. I heard through commentator channels that one of her sons was born by a John, or he may have had some kind of autism. However, she gave that baby up. The other baby she kept for several months, but she put that baby up for adoption because the baby was getting a little too dark. I guess he was getting his mother's complexion, and that was way too much for her to handle. Opp is brown skin, and she does have some colorism, and she does favor lighter complexion to her own brown skin. So she constantly has that filter on her videos and her images to be a few shades lighter. Why? I have no idea. I watched a great many of the videos, and the only way I can describe it as peeking at a car crash that you drive by slowly, looking at everything in a short amount of time, but it's way too much to take in. 98% of these stories stems from Shell, and 2% of Opp panhandling for cash apps. Michelle Randy Jones, she doesn't have any children. Shell is a woman with PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, where facial hair is grown on a woman, and Shell is the butt of many horrible jokes. She even waxed and shaved it for storylines several times for cash apps during the live streams. I was born like this, she says. She takes it in stride. She doesn't want to shave, but Opp refers to her as ugly because she isn't overly done, surgically enhanced, and a slave to lace front wigs and lashes, so that makes her ugly. The fact that Shell is comfortable in her own skin makes her ugly. The Oppsters, that's what they call themselves, who support Opp and Shell financially, also call Shell fat, ugly, stupid, retarded, anything that Opp says. Anything. And they repeat this night after night. Opp says nothing. She laughs, she smirks. This pleases her. If someone calls Opp horrible names, Shell is quick to defend her. Anything that Shell does or says, even moves slowly, will get her hit or talked down to. All these lives consist of is totally emotionally and breaking down Shell. Strangers that call in and pay money to do this. Opp also talks about Shell's hygiene. She says almost in every video that she smells like fish, piss, shit. Even went into the bathroom with her on one live and made her wipe her ass like some type of home health aide instead of a friend. I've seen in many of these videos recorded by other people that have been around Opp, they say, I'm gonna put it this way, that Opp doesn't smell like a warm vanilla scented candle herself. And you can imagine what they said. Any attention is better than no attention. The 13-year-old friendship with Shell, where they met at a grocery store in Philly, and Shell would actually babysit one of Opp's children that she sees from time to time. He sometimes appears on the live, but always covered up so you can't see him, can't see his face. Their platform grew followers. They have videos on all apps. In the beginning, I watched some of them. It looked fun. It was an odd duo, but it looked fun until the abuse set in. Opp would get kicked off many of these apps with the abuse of Shell, not just physical but emotionally, and we would later find out sexually. The Oppsters would call in and say no. In other words, the girl would starve that night because misery loves company, and Opp would eat in front of her and beat her if she stole food, make her sleep in a dog cage or on the floor, off the rug. Opp bragged about this, and she would get tons of cash apps, and it was just egged on. Oppsters who I feel are divided in two. The ones that were bullied before and they just want to see someone bully, and the ones who are just straight bullies themselves. They would cash app $1 up to $1,000. They lived off these donations. They stayed mainly in hotels, low-budget apartments, and they even had an apartment in one of the Oppsters' names. If anyone would tell Shell that she was pretty or wanted to specifically send Shell a cash app, the Opp called it a pity party, and the caller was cursed out by Opp. Shell was barely allowed to even accept the compliments in fear she would be hit or a quick target, because anything would trigger Opp. The Oppsters made up lies to see Shell be hit or humiliated in any way, to watch physical abuse. Opp looked for reasons to abuse Shell, and it got to the point when Opp didn't even have a reason. She would just lash out at Shell for no reason. All the lights and glitter had to be out at all time. This girl was unbelievably sick, mentally ill. She also hinted about how Shell performed oral on her while she was menstruating. I mean, was this a skit? Opp would bend over right there on live, and Shell would kiss her ass around the time when she referred to Shell as her husband and even wife. Was this a skit? Even though Shell says she's heterosexual, which I believe, she was having a sexual affair with Opp. I think Opp coerced her into it. Opp boasts how she never returned the favor, but I beg to differ. You can even listen to it. You can even listen to it in one of the YouTube videos. Yeah, I heard it in the one where Shell gets waxed. It's a very funny video, and I think it was so funny because it was the one time where Shell was not being physically abused, though Opp was saying some kind of not too nice stuff, but I guess it's just in her nature. But you can kind of hear it in that video. Definitely. The one where Shell again was getting her vagina waxed. I'm not gonna lie. Opp and Shell. Opp lost the bag. She gave the bag away willingly. She should have never laid hands on that woman. She should never demean her. She should never tortured her. She'd never put her down. She could have went somewhere with this. Most definitely, she could have went somewhere. But her narcissistic ways, her histrionic personality, it just took over. And you really saw the monster that she definitely was. Definitely. What's wrong with Shell? Besides the awful things that Opp puts out there. On her OnlyFans, she claims that she used a strap-on Shell. And unfortunately, I did see some of the OnlyFans videos, the ones of Opp pleasuring herself with a man and Shell nude, and I just couldn't take anymore. I really couldn't. It was enough for me. But I mean, you could just Google this. I mean, the information's out there. You can't miss it. Anyone could get this information. In the future, her son, if he's not savvy now, can Google this mess and see it. These people don't care. These people don't care at all. She even had Shell tattoo a rapper's name on her. A rapper that Opp wanted to sleep with. But instead, she settled for performing oral sex on one of his baby mamas. Low budget. And I also heard that they currently had a falling out. Because at one point, they were supposed to be tight, and then a falling out. But it seems everyone that comes into Opp's life will eventually have a falling out with her. I didn't even care to find out the reasons why. Shell also has Opp's name tatted on her as well. Opp has shaved Shell's hair countless times, put ridiculous colors in it, make her look like a clown, put way too much makeup on her to make her look foolish, put too much hair glue in her hair, even put crazy glue in her hair. Anything. Make her wear unflattering clothing, smeared dog shit on her hair and made her, on her face, and made her wear it during a live, made her eat dog food, raw meat, food out of a toilet, anything for views, all at the expense of Shell. But yet, she says Shell is not entitled to any of the money. Shell is entitled to half of that money. She even told Shell many times to unlive herself and told Shell that she would never leave her. No matter what she did to her, she would put her out first. There were even videos of a pet dog that defecated on someone's final resting place. Opp found it funny. The dog is not even around anymore. Don't even know what happened to the dog. Shell had a pet bird, an obster. I recall an obster telling Shell to fry it. I don't know what happened to the bird and don't want to know what happened to the bird, but this was the type of videos that they were doing. And you definitely need a storyline, and you have to come up with one every freaking day. And again, the content was around Shell. Shell was the bag. I remember a video of Opp spitting countless times in a drink that she was preparing for Shell. She actually had her baby daddy's semen on standby to add with the drink. I couldn't even watch it anymore, and I really hope Shell did not consume that beverage. Opp claimed all these years that she had taken care of Shell, brought her tampons, food, clothes, everything. But it's a duo, but that didn't come into her head. It was a duo, a partnership. You're supposed to split the bag, but she hogged the bag. She really did. She hogged the bag. There was times when Shell would do something called story time, when she would talk about sexual abuse of her parents, grandmother, uncle's friend. All these people were allegedly abused Shell in some manner sexually when she was younger. Was this true or something that Opp invented? I, like many, believe it was something that Opp invented, definitely. But these were all called skits. And it reminds me, Bishop, around the time when the water was getting hot around his ass, he kept saying, oh, these are skits. We're actors. No, he was trying to cover their ass. They always try to cover their ass in the end. It's not a skit. It's not a skit at all. The abuse is real. Real blood, deceased babies, emotional trauma left behind years later. They thought they were covering their ass. Opp herself was sexually abused. She says it. She says that. But it didn't affect her. That's because she actually said this, which was so horrible. So horrible. She says her pussy was so good back then. As a child, this is why she was molested. I mean, you really can't make this shit up. She never too much speaks on her own family. And she only says pretty much the obvious stuff about herself. She always is talking about her herpes and gonorrhea and all that stuff. And she claimed that Shell has HIV after the two of them did HIV test. And someone in the house had it. And if the test wasn't rigged, but who? Because the test had came out positive. And even in videos after that, she kept saying that Shell was the one who was HIV positive. She had made Shell perform oral sex on a homeless man, but I couldn't watch the video all the way through, so I don't know if that really happened. I hope it didn't. But she had allegedly had Shell turn tricks for money. And I don't think she has a problem with that because she actually turns tricks for money. And again, hey, there's nothing wrong. Whatever floats your boat, make your money how you gotta make it. But she did it with her son in the apartment, and it was on alive, and you could hear her son. He seemed very concerned of what was happening to her mother because a whole grown man was in the house. And it was a point where the man was actually saying, "You didn't let me finish." The man was just saying some disrespectful stuff. And Opp was telling the man to apologize. But this man knows that you're a whole whore. He really does not care about what's going on in this house. He wants his service. He's going to pay for his service. And he's out. He was actually saying he had to go and pick up his wife. So this is the life that this woman is bringing back to her child, which is just awful. And the kid was trying to call his grandmother. He wanted to be picked up. Shell was supposed to be watching him in the room, but the kid was trying to get out and allegedly get his tablet, to call his mom, his grandmom. But he knew what was going on. Kids are very perceptive. They are. Opp has had a few female lovers, and she also has had a trans woman who she claimed she was head over heels in love with. They say that trans person also abused Shell mentally. I don't know about physically. I hadn't watched enough videos and really don't want to watch any more of these videos, but that's what was being said. And ironically, and I did see this video, Opp actually fought this trans woman, born biological male, and I believe he still has his male parts. And the trans refused to leave the dingy ass hotel room that they were in, and Shell and Opp jumped him. The trans woman had threatened to hit Shell, and that was the only time that I heard Opp stick up for Shell by saying, "You better not touch her, you better not touch her." That was the only time that Opp stuck up for her that I've seen with my own eyes. These two women did anything that they thought was controversial, saying they were Trump supporters. They probably had no clue as to why they were Trump supporters, but that's what they were saying. She was even drinking alcohol, and this was during the pregnancy of the baby she recently had. The fact that you don't want your baby because it is darkening, and also torturing a woman that people can actually see that she may, have some type of a disability. I don't know really what, but something besides the picus. I'm not sure. This woman did everything on camera, from peeing to showering to eating. I mean, she did everything but sleep. I mean, she even, had sexual intercourse. Remember, the OnlyFans. So she did everything on live. She even used rappers. She said she had sex with a few of them. She bragged about it. She named the ones. And she's so quick to speak on. If someone speaks against her, she say, oh, they want clout. They want clout because of who I am. But yet she said that she had sex with Lil Uzi Vert. I mean, come on. You're trying to get the biggest clout with saying that you slept with that man. And come to find out, she actually never met him. She claimed that she only texted Blueface a few times and he responded back. Maybe she knows Krishan would beat the brakes off her. That's why she stopped responding back to Blueface. And you know what? Speaking of Krishan, she just had her newborn baby, and this woman took a dig at a small child. She said stuff like the baby looked funny, and I'm like, oh my God. Meanwhile, her backup, the stud, and we'll get into that, is echoing what she says. She also tried for I told you I'm all over the place with this video, but I'm almost through. She tried for a reality show called Baddies. I never watched it, but that fell through somehow. I don't know why and don't care to know why. Opp's storylines would come to an end, well, almost the end, when one of her supporters, the female stud, who would meet Opp and they developed a sexual relationship, and she also would get Opp's name tatted on her, like all the cult wives, the Carbonation God, Three God, or Eligio Bishop, I don't know, whatever they got on their bodies for him. That's what Opp is somewhat doing too. They would also have sex right there on live, but off camera. And this is while she was 10 months pregnant. And you could hear with her, quote, alleged signs of ecstasy. And was Shell uncomfortable? No. Why would she be uncomfortable? She's used to this. She's been around this woman for 13 years. Lord knows what she has seen, heard, and smelled being around this woman. Lord only knows. But Opp was actually showing her followers that I think at the time she was having a herpes outbreak, and she believed her female lover was cheating on her. So she literally wanted her to catch it, basically eat it. And I guess you call this what? Revenge VD? So after this oral session that was so sickening, the stud actually brags about how good it tastes, and meanwhile Opp is laughing with that devilish ass smirk on her face, and she kind of thinks maybe the stud's family is watching. So Opp says, oh no, nothing happened. She's okay, because she knows that the family members is watching, but she doesn't really give a damn. There was a live where this female stud was performing oral sex on Opp. I mean, really. While the family is, do people have any morals these days? I'm not gonna lie. I was wild as fuck years ago. Wild as fuck. Thank goodness none of this shit was recorded. But I was wild as fuck, and I would not want any of my family members to watch any of this shit. And I'm always quick to say I'm grown, and I would never want my son to Google anything and shit with me pop up. I just don't understand anymore. But I guess after 2 weeks it'll pass, right? If this stud has anything, just give it 2 weeks and it'll just ease on out your body, I guess, right? But in other videos that I did found, the stud did find out that Opp did have herpes. This is in the earlier ones, and sounded very upset by it. But since they're going to be together forever, and I'm not quite sure how long forever is, I guess herpes is okay. Could you guys who know about Three God, could you guys imagine Three God and Opp together in a house? That would be literally insane. Oh my goodness. Let me not put that in the universe, because weirder things have happened. Shell and this stud would get into verbal arguments, and Shell admitted at one point that she was scared of this stud, and for 2 weeks there was no lives. 2 turned to 3, and Shell was allegedly recovering by abuse inflicted by the stud, and by this point, like a 13-month pregnant aunt. So we seen the abuse actually start on one of the lives when Opp poorly tried to cover it up. Followers, they were watching this, and they would call the police a lot of times on them, which is good. Keep up the good work, you guys. But finally, the police would kick in the door and remove Shell from the house. A victory, hoping she never would return back, because like a battered woman, I did see in a video that she had returned before, after Opp was arrested for domestic abuse. Now Opp and her female lover has bonded out, and they are due in court sometime mid-October is what I heard. But like the stud that tried to beat and abuse Shell, you know, she was becoming a target. She really was. The Oppsters were showing, well, Opp actually was showing the stud's dirty drawers on you know, camera for everyone to see. And the Oppsters was saying that, you know, this stud was a meth addict and cheating with other women. And, you know, talking about the fact that this stud has no top grill. And they were actually saying that the Opp was better off with Shell and wanted Shell back, ironically. Now, for the ones looking in, you know, I figured the only reason why the stud was going to stick around was because by now I think the Opp is 15 months pregnant with swollen feet and having Braxton Hicks every 18 seconds. And the Opp was supporting the stud's habit of wine and menthols. So that's expensive. Cigarettes are a lot of money. So I would probably stick around too if you're going to support my habit. And, you know, she would always brag about how this stud performed oral so greatly. Oh my God. It's like, get over it, right? Like, seriously, get over it. Is this all that this woman has to offer? Is what she calls good head? I mean, get over it. What else can she do? Seriously, what else can she do? There was a video where Opp was cleaning her vagine on camera, and she had some brown stuff on a rag, and she bragged about how this female stud was going to perform oral sex on her. And it happened. I mean, how sick can you get with this shit? Licking discharge and VD. I mean, she is worse than a loyal dog, if you ask me, in my own words. Just down there. Just freaking down there. It's just horrible. Leading up to just days ago, Opp had her baby, you know, proclaiming she's a first-time mom. So she's basically said to hell with her sons. And she announced that she's going to marry this stud. And the thing is, and I said this earlier, Opp definitely is a colorist. And she just keeps talking about how overjoyed she is about the fact that this baby is a light-skinned baby. She hasn't yet said that the baby was healthy, because she was doing a lot of shit. She hasn't said that the baby was healthy. She just is so ecstatic that the baby is light-skinned with a head full of hair. That's all she ever says. And, oh, my baby light-skinned. And then she asks the female chick there, isn't my baby going to be light-skinned? Isn't my baby going to stay light-skinned? And the female chick, she concurs, oh, yeah, the baby going to stay light-skinned. I mean, it's just sad. It just really is. And it's also sad that Black and or African American babies, they do get a little bit darker as they get older. I mean, she should know that. That's why she gave up the little son, because he was browning out. So she should know that. I mean, who knows what color this baby's going to get? Who freaking knows? I mean, the baby's going to be inside. If we take the baby outside, the baby's going to get darker. Oh, let me not say that. The baby will never see sunlight. But you know what I'm saying. The baby does get darker, but I don't understand. And she also brags about how she has, even though she's not even in these children's lives, really, except the one. She says all her children are light skinned, but I don't know where their light skin got them, because they're not even with their mother, which is definitely a good thing. Definitely a good thing. So again, a court date is coming up, and they said that they're going to wear these matching outfits. And if everything goes in Shell's favor, I think everyone will be having matching outfits, if you catch my drift. So anyway, before I head out, because I done spoke enough. So before I head out, Shell and did a video, a song by Shell. I don't know if it has a name. It just says a song written by Shell or something like that. And Opp and Shell are singing in it. And it is on our YouTube page. And they did a little video with it. And I actually liked it. I did. I'm like, wow. These young women, they actually have some kind of talent. And it's a shame that it just went down the drain. I mean, it really is. Shell made a video after, being, on hiatus for a little while. And she said she was looking for a remote job, which is good. And she's back with her family. So I wish her well. And I hope that, she bonds back with her family. And that is it. But do you see the familiarity of Alicia Bishop and Ciara Taylor? Both are filled with disease and don't mind sharing it. Both either recommended abortions or had abortions. Both drink to extent. Both have gotten high to extent. Both were ex-strippers. Both sever relationships very easily because they're a cause of it. Both narcissistic. Both histrionic. Both have followers that really have issues themselves, and they see themselves in these people, and that's why they have a following. It's so much. It's so much. They both love having sex with men or women. So they're both bisexual. So much. I really want to do a side-by-side, but I think this will pretty much cover it. Most definitely. There are several creators on YouTube, and I definitely commend them, because this is too sick. I mean, I can't. And my videos are pretty graphic and true stories and not too good. But this is like an everyday thing that I just couldn't watch it. I mean, it just shows you humanity at its worst. I mean, this is a creator content dream, because it never ends. But you have to take a break from this shit. You just really have to, because it never ends. It just really never ends until these people literally die. It just never ends. But I have to end it. I most definitely have to end it. Shell, if you're out there, or somebody knows Shell, girl, write a book. Call it Clock That Tea. Do it. Write a book. We want to hear your side, because your side, I know, is way better than Opp's side, I'm sure. And you can clear up a lot of things. Girl, if you need help writing that book, holla at me. I'll definitely help you out with it. Definitely. Well, anyway, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this. I just had to get it off and out there, and it is definitely finally complete. Forgive me for bringing you into this nonsense. This will be the first and the last time I speak publicly about these two. So you guys, I actually finished this video Sunday that just passed us, and it is Thursday evening right now, little bit after 9. And this morning when I got up to get ready to go to work, it was on a channel. There's plenty of channels that are currently covering Queen Opp, plenty of them. And there is 2 ladies that I watch on here, 2 content creators, which are hysterical to me. And anyway, they put up some of Opp's lives. And Opp, again, is, she's with her stud lover. And she was talking about how bad her vagine is smelling, how bad it is. She said it smells like a trash can, like a dead mouse. This is what she was saying out of her own mouth. So it got me to thinking, maybe all this time it wasn't Shell. Maybe the whole time it was you. Because now we have 2 vaginas in this apartment, I guess. Some people say hotel room. And you said it's yours. So now at least we found out who the culprit is. At least that part of the story has finally come to an end. Now, I want to see 2 things. I want to see if Queen Opp and her female lover is going to get any time. And I just want to know if, or should I say how much time that Bishop will get. That's what I want to know. And then it will definitely end for me. Because like I said, these stories, they just continue. And I like things to actually have an ending. So I'll take a peep every now and then. And I'll see if one is locked up and one is set free. I don't know. But that's it. And I'm sorry it took so long. But this is it. This is what I got for this week. And I'm back to my regular videos this weekend. Good night, you guys.
Over here. Just move out my motherfucking way when you see me coming. Bitch, did I for a strawberry? Huh?
No, my chief.
Don't you ever in your motherfucking life give me that motherfucking strawberry unless I act.
He thinks she's slow, like everybody else on his live, like all 3,800. Y'all think she's slow, so it's the pity party. Queen is the villain. Queen is the bad guy. Queen needs to go to jail. Queen, all of this stuff. Because I chose to take in a girl that looks slow. My life has been going downhill for the past 10 years because I chose to be nice that day. You breathing hard? No. Are you breathing hard? No. You breathing hard? No, I didn't breathe hard. I didn't breathe hard.
Alright, I hope y'all can get y'all stuff together.
Listen, I took her under my wing. I thought I'd been told y'all the backstory. But I'm never gonna give you the whole backstory. But make a long story short, she was a stone cold weirdo with no fucking maybe one other weirdo ass friend. Cornball ass bitch. I took her under my wing. First of all, everybody at the job used to treat her like a germ. They used to talk about her, call her slow. Oh, she doing returns. She got a TSS work or whatever the fuck you call it. The little people that walk around you while you work, they were saying she had that. Ain't nobody hang with her. She didn't get invited to shit. What you doing? Yo, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Turn this shit off.